Okay, so in order to help determine scale factor and copy factor, you need to determine if your shape increases or decreases. So if you move from A to B, you'll notice that your shape has an increase. So if it increases, your scale factor means it has to be greater than 1. And if you think about that, right, if you're going to increase something from 100% of its regular size, it would need to increase by more than 100%. If it would decrease, it would need to decrease by a number less than 100%. And then if you notice, if you move from B to A, you have a decrease, which is less than 1. Excuse me. So I always ask my students to identify a corresponding side. This would be really helpful for them. So you can really use either one of them. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use the height because I know my 5 facts really well. And right here. So those are my corresponding sides. Same position, same relative position, and different shapes. Well, if I increase, I have 2 numbers. I only care about my 5 and my 20 right now. So if I increase, I'm going to put my large number and divide it by my small number. And that tells me that I scaled my shape up by 4. And you can check that, right? So if I take 5 and I multiply it by 4, do I get 20? I do. If I take 7 and I multiply it by 4, do I get 28? I do. So my shape was scaled by 4. Now let's say we wanted to go backwards, right? So I decrease. So what I would do is I would take my smaller corresponding side, decrease small, over my large. And on my calculator, you can reduce it, or you can, so you would have 1/4, or you could leave it as 0.25. Either will work. And you can check on your calculator if you took 20 and you multiplied it by 0.25. Oh, whoops. 0.25, would you get 5? And you do. And if you take 28 and you multiply it by 0.25, do you get 7? Well, you should. So your scale factor, if it increases, is 4. If you're decreasing, it's 1/4 or 0.25. Well, the copy factor is how much you increase the percent by, right? So say sometimes I want to go make a copy and I need to make it bigger, say I need it for a map. Well, I have to increase the copy factor on the machine in order to get the scaling that I want it to have. So what I would do is I would say, how many times do I want it bigger? If I want it 4 times bigger, right, that's my scale factor, I'm going to times it by 100%, because it's going to convert it to a percent. So on my copy machine, I would say I need it to increase by 400%. So you just take your scale factor and you multiply it by 100, and that helps you find your copy factor.